It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Well, we made it to another weekend. Yes, we made it through the week. The weekend is here. The calendar says Friday. I like to say Friday, like yay. Friday is here. It's time for the Geno Jones Daily Variety Show. That's me. I'm the guy. So we do it Monday through Friday, unless maybe we have a holiday. Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 if you're in Chicago or Houston, where President Biden was. I'm going to address the President and Madam Vice President shortly in my monologue. Or if you're out on the West Coast, out in Los Angeles, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So let me give you a quick update. Some good news first. The COVID-19 relief or rescue bill that you hear a lot of talk about in the media, looks like there's a good chance that it'll be signed tonight. So what does that mean? That means the $1,400 checks that a lot of people who qualify, basically a family making under $150,000 or individuals making under $75,000 will get a $1,400 check, or they'll put it directly in your bank account. Now, if you didn't get the $600 that people who were eligible got back in December, well, supposedly December, some folks didn't see that money till January or even February. So if you didn't get the $600, you'll get $2,000. You'll get at one time $2,000 check, which is great, but I still say we need to see a $2,000 check for those who qualify, those are in need, until we get on the other side of this pandemic, at least until maybe July, August, until we get about, I'd say 85% of the population vaccinated. Speaking of that, there's going to be more money for states and counties and towns and cities to make sure that all of their population, including black folks that live in the hood, that live in areas that are hard to get to, that live in neighborhoods that don't have a Walgreens or Walmart or CVS, they'll have mobile vaccine trucks, vaccination trucks, these mobile units that'll go out in these communities to where people need the help, necessarily don't have the money, don't have cars, don't have a lot of transportation. So money for that, basically what they call a moratorium or freeze on evictions, so people won't get kicked out of their apartment or kicked out of their homes. So all that is great. More money for schools. All this stuff is so desperately needed to increase the child tax credit to make it. I believe they're going to make that child tax credit permanent. And I think it's going up to $3,600. And also in terms of they call it stimulus check. I call it a survival check, the $1,400. Also, you'll get a stimulus check if you have a child under 17. So for every child, you'll get a stimulus check. All that is fabulous. So, but let me address President Biden and Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. Actually, this is like a dear President Biden letter, because at the end of the day, the buck stops with him. So now listen, President Biden, everything you just heard me say, that's wonderful. But I got a bone to pick with you, all right? We still have a problem here. Now passing this $15 an hour minimum wage increase is it's shameful. It really is. Now I know in theory, not just in theory, you said publicly that you believe in this $15 an hour minimum wage increase. You believe in it. You like to get it. You're the president. Now, I know you're not a king or dictator. That was that other dude that thought he was a king and a dictator. So I get it. You have to work with Congress. You got to work with the Senate. You got to work with the House, co-equal branches of government. You got some senators that think they're president, even in your own party. Joe Manchin, primarily in West Virginia. Now, you won't say anything bad about him. You don't have to. I'll get in his ass. West Virginia, the second poorest state in America, next to Mississippi. And he's still nickel and diming. He's nickel and diming the people in his own state. So, Joe Manchin, I want you to explain to the people of your state, the second poorest state in America, next to Mississippi, I want you to tell them why they can't get a $15 minimum wage increase or an increase in the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So let me go on. President Biden. Now, you know who you've let down? By not making sure that this $15 an hour minimum wage increase is not in this bill. Now, I know people saying, well, he's going to put it in another bill. Well, maybe. Are they going to let him? Is he going to fight for it? I mean, is he really going to fight for this $15 minimum wage or increase in the minimum wage to $15? Guess what? You know who you let down, President Biden? You let down the millions of black women who are the sole and primary reason right here in the state of South Carolina, when your campaign literally, politically was on a ventilator, and black people, specifically black women in the state of South Carolina, in the Democratic primary, about a year ago today, this time 1 year ago, your political campaign was on life support. Black people in South Carolina and black women specifically came in like the Avengers and literally took your campaign off a ventilator, like I like to say. They got some vibranium, some of that pretty blue liquid politically, and poured it down your throat, and the rest is history. So primarily black women who gave you and the Democrats control of the Senate and the White House, you are letting them down. You know that black women are the lowest paid out of all the workers based on demographics or between age and racial group. Black women are the most underpaid group of people in America. So you are letting down all those millions of black women all across the country, here in South Carolina, up in Chicago, in Washington, D.C., in Atlanta, that helped you flip the state of Georgia. The black and the brown women, Hispanic women in Arizona that helped you flip Arizona. You are letting them down because black women and Hispanic women are the most underpaid. They have the lowest wages of any group here in America. So when you don't pass and you don't really fight to make sure that there's an increase in the minimum wage to $15 an hour, you are not fighting for the women. You are not fighting primarily for the black women that fought for you to be in the White House right now. So I need you to think about, I need you not just to think about that, I need you to act on it. Yes, we appreciate this COVID-19 relief bill. We appreciate that in 36 days, you have vaccinated 50 million people who weren't vaccinated. Thank you. My mother happens to be one of those 50 million people that's gotten her second vaccination shot, her second COVID-19 vaccine shot yesterday on Thursday. I thank God for that. And I thank the developers of the vaccine. I thank Pfizer, since she got the Pfizer vaccine. And I thank you, President Biden, to do what you needed to do and invoke the Defense Production Act to make sure that these companies got the equipment and whatever else they needed to speed up the making of more and more vaccine, I appreciate that. And millions of black women appreciate that, but they would appreciate equally, if not more, that you fight for a $15 an hour minimum wage, just like I said, that black people and black women fought for you to take control of the White House and fought for Democrats to retake control of the Senate. So I need you to do that. Okay? Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick here. Some folks will say, well, businesses can't afford it. And okay, stop. So there's an organization called the Congressional Budget Office. They recently released a report that says raising the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour. Think about that. In 2021, the minimum wage still in 2021 is $7.25 an hour. So we're talking about what, $15,000 a year? Who and where can you live on $15,000? You'll be homeless. $15,000 a year? So the Congressional Budget Office says raising the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour. And then they're talking about doing it by 2025. So you all are nickel and diamond people and don't want to raise the minimum wage. And if you do, then it won't go to $15 an hour federally until 2025, 4 years from now. What are we doing? So this Congressional Budget Office, this report says that if you raise the minimum wage up to $15 an hour, 1.3 million people will be lifted out of poverty. Now, there's another piece of information in there that folks who are hating and don't want people, who don't want poor people, low-wage people, to make a decent, just a living wage, will say, well, the Congressional Budget Office also says that raising the minimum wage could. Now, be very careful. Listen to what I got to say. You got to listen closely. Some people say you got to see with a third eye and you got to hear with a third ear. You got to really, I call it, I translate it. Because sometimes people will say something, but they're really saying something else. And people may do one thing, but they really want to do something else. But sometimes they'll do one thing, it's called gaslighting. They'll gaslight you. And they'll go ahead and do something real crazy. Look over here, look over here, look over here. In the meantime, when you look over here, what they really want to do, they make that move. But they're gaslighting you. They're telling you, oh, look over here, this is a problem, blah, blah, blah. So in this report, it says that raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, according to the Congressional Budget Office, could lead to the loss. Not will, not it definitely will, could lead to the loss of 1.3 million jobs. That it could. We're not certain, we're not saying definitely, but it could. It might, maybe, possibly could lead to the loss of 1.3 million jobs. So I'm calling bullshit. Yeah, I know, it's Friday. It's my show. I'm calling bullshit. And I'm going to tell you why. So, first of all, I'm gonna use Walmart as an example. And I'll use McDonald's. I talked about this the other day. Do you know that Walmart and McDonald's are two of the largest companies that have the largest number of people who are working at Walmart currently and at McDonald's who still, because they're getting paid so their hourly salary, their wages are so low that they still qualify and have to get Medicare and food stamps. I know you say, huh, what? People working, they could be working full-time at Walmart. Working full-time, but still they are still poor. They're working a full-time job, $7.25, $8.25 an hour. It still qualifies for them, especially if they have a family, to be able to be eligible to get Medicare and food stamps. So that means that you hear, well, the taxpayers, I don't want my tax-paying money going to Medicare and for people to get food stamps. Well, then you need to talk to people like companies like Walmart and McDonald's and tell them they need to give all their employees a raise, not some, all, up to $15 an hour. Then they won't need to be on Medicaid, or they won't need to be on food stamps or an EBT card. That's what's going to happen. And so you see these small companies say, well, I can't afford to pay my employees. But did those same small companies, see, this is what I'm calling bullshit. Those same small companies will see an increase in customers. Because now, people who were making $7.25 an hour are making $15 an hour. They'll get new customers, and old customers that maybe spent $50 a month in their business, at their business, could spend $75 or maybe $100 a month. Not to mention the new customers that you would get who you didn't have because they were only making $7.25 an hour. Not to mention that these companies, it's not written in stone. There's no law that says that they have to lay off. These companies are not. Do you think Walmart? They've got about 10 family members. The Walton family that owns Walmart. They got about 10 family members. All of them's net worth is somewhere around at least $10 billion, at least, close to it. Some may be a little less, some a little more, but averaging right around $10 billion. That's their net worth. So these big companies, even some of these smaller companies, it's not like they'll have to lock their doors and shut down their store. Now, what they'll do, they'll pass on the cost to the consumer, quote unquote. So that means if you got a little coffee shop in your neighborhood that you really like. Now, of course, most people think about Starbucks, but you have a lot of smaller, independently owned, small business owners that will open up their own little coffee shop or whatever, especially in a lot of these neighborhoods that's being gentrified. Well, you know what they would do? They go up on the price. So what's coffee? $3? So you got some really fancy coffee that's $3 a cup at a place like that, at a coffee shop. So, okay, they got to go up to $3.50. But I guarantee you, if people like your product, if they love your coffee, and if they love your service, guess what? Those people will pay that extra 25 cents or 50 cents. I guarantee you, people that love Starbucks, and I know because I have a house full of women or a family full of women that love Starbucks. And I guarantee you, if Starbucks, if Damaris went to Starbucks or if Boogie went to Starbucks tomorrow and saw that their favorite coffee went up 25 or 50 cents, they'd be like, ooh, wow, wow, wow. But guess what? When they got that taste for that Starbucks coffee, you know what they're going to do? They're going to pay that extra 25 cents or extra 50 cents. That's what's going to happen. So that's just an excuse. When you hear people say that, oh, all of these companies are going to have to lay off all these people. No, they don't have to do anything. They will choose to do that. They are gaslighting you. They are making you think that one thing is a problem, and the problem is that collectively we are just a selfish, self-centered, narcissistic society, country, lacking in compassion, empathy, and humanity. Not each and every one of us, but too many of us, especially too many in positions of power, wealth and power, and greed. Because it can absolutely happen. So President Biden, we need you to fight for the $15 minimum wage increase, the way that black women fought for you to get in the White House, the way that black women fought for you and the Democrats to take control of the Senate, that fought so Nancy Pelosi could maintain control of the House of Representatives. That's what I need you to do. I need you to fight for $15 minimum wage increase. Fight for it. Fight for the people that fought for you. Yeah, you fought for the people that fought for you, for the COVID relief bill, but we need you to fight for the people who need that $15 minimum wage increase the most. The 1.3 million people that will be lifted out of poverty. You can change instantly. You could change the lives of over nearly 1.5 million people, 1.3 million people. Think about how many families, how many single moms, how many children instantly could be lifted out of poverty. What an incredible legacy. Come on, Joe. Make it happen, bro. Make it happen. This weekend, before I get out of here, this weekend, if you love R&B singer D'Angelo, and I know you ladies, y'all love some D'Angelo. So D'Angelo is going to do something called Verses. For those who don't know, if you go to Instagram, Swizz Beatz, who's like this iconic, legendary music producer, actually it's two iconic, legendary music producers got together and created something called Verses. So you got Swizz Beatz, who's actually married to Alicia Keys, and my man Timberland. So they got together and they started something called Verses. Well, they'll get two contemporaries when it comes to rappers, R&B singers, old school, new school, and they'll basically kind of battle. Like, who's got the most hits? Whose hits were the biggest hits? Which hits and which artists had the biggest cultural impact? So D'Angelo is going to do a Versus. We've had some great Versus battles. You had Babyface and Teddy Riley. It took a minute for them to get, they were having some technical difficulties. So it took a couple episodes and Babyface came down with COVID-19. So it took about 3 tries, but they finally got that Versus battle together. And we had Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight. And we just had some incredible Versus battles. So Saturday night, tomorrow night, D'Angelo versus Friends. It's going to be live. They're going to do this live from the Apollo Theater in New York City. That's going to be off the chain. Tomorrow, Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so you're saying, wait a minute, Geno, you said D'Angelo and Friends? So who are the Friends? I can't confirm it. I can tell you what I heard, what I hear. I hear it could be Angie Stone, who actually, by the way, that's D'Angelo's baby mama. Also repping Columbia, South Carolina. Shout out to Miss Angie Stone. Let's see here. I hear it could be Erykah Badu. Happy birthday, Erykah Badu, today. 50, the big 50, big nickel zero. I hear it could be Raphael Sadiq. And I hear Tony. They're getting the gang back together. The original band, Raphael, Dwayne, his brother, and Timothy Wiggins, and the whole crew, the whole Tony. So if you get a chance to see that, you need to see. That's one of the most iconic, one of the best bands I've ever seen ever. It's Tony. They are phenomenal. So I'm excited about that possibility. I hear it could be Lauryn Hill. Now, if it's Lauryn Hill, it could be a long night. I don't know. I don't know what they call it, gamblers. What's the over or under? What's the number? What's the number in terms of how late will Lauryn Hill be if she actually shows up to do this Versus with D'Angelo? Hour and a half, 2 hours? I say at least 60 minutes. A good 60, maybe 90. I think the over and under might be somewhere around around 90 minutes. You just say, hey, listen, we love Lauryn Hill. Love her. She's not the most punctual sister. Not my opinion, it's just fact. But anyway, it should be, this should be fire. Should be exciting. And ladies that love D'Angelo, and we all love his music. Ladies, you all love him for different reasons. And I ain't mad at you. Do you? Now, I thought the real versus battle matchup with D'Angelo would be Maxwell. Now, the only problem, D'Angelo take a minute. D'Angelo's like Stevie Wonder. It takes him a minute to do a new album. So now, D'Angelo's first album, Voodoo, came out in 2001. His next album came out in 2015 called Black Messiah. So you can do the math. That's like 14 years. Maxwell, he took a hiatus, but his hiatus or break wasn't that long. So just in terms of catalog, number of songs and number of hit songs, yeah, Maxwell will win that hands down. But just in terms of cultural impact, female appeal, and just the buzz and the excitement and the fire that versus would create, Tim and Swiss, I'm just saying, Maxwell and D'Angelo, now that would have been the versus. But I'm looking forward to see who the friends are going to be versus D'Angelo tomorrow night, live on Instagram, so make sure you check that out. Speaking of live, I'm live and I'm leaving. It's the weekend. I'm out of here. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. It's live daily, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Chicago time, 3:30 if you're out on the West Coast. Shout out to the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Got me popping my collar, popping my lapels. Mr. Bruce Gage. Always keeping the wardrobe right and tight. Check him out on Instagram, Bruce Gage, G-A-G-E, Bruce Gage. G-A-G-E on Instagram. You'll see his page. He's got some really great looking gear. Great just style. So in Bruce's fashions, he's always fashion forward. He's like he's like 12 to 18 months ahead of what you'll see in like stores. Trust me. So you can go to his Instagram page and you'll see things on there now that you'll see in the stores that'll be like hot in another year and a half. Also, shout out to the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show, my man Markel Bailey. He's also on Instagram. Markel, this is actually Kel B. Cuttin. Kelbecuttin. Kel B. Cuttin. I love everybody. I love you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and go back and binge watch all my past episodes. I've had some great guests from Lettucey about 3 weeks ago, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Lenny Williams. We've had my man Gene Noble. It's got the hit song Matching Tattoos. I had my man Larry Dotson, former lead singer of the Bar-Kays. We had Richie Calloway from Midnight Star. I've had some really guests with some very informative and educational shows, especially about COVID-19. Dr. Damon Arnold is one of the top public health and infectious disease doctors in America, and a brother, sharp brother. He is, trust me, watch the episode. Everything that you wanted to know. He separates fact from fiction and myth and rumors. He dispels all of that and lets you know why we all need to, especially we as black people, who are dying at 3 times the rate of white Americans. For every one white person in America that dies of COVID, 3 black people died from COVID-19. Totally, collectively, this week, we passed over 500,000 Americans that have died from COVID. And remember, for every one white person that's died of COVID-19, 3 black people have died from COVID-19. So I understand, listen, we know America's history. We know the history of the medical profession when it comes to black folks, and either experimentation or lack of providing the proper medical services or the proper medicine to prevent disease and illness. This ain't that situation, guys. It's not. So don't take my word for it. check out two of my previous episodes with Dr. Damon Arnold. He'll educate you. Trust me, you'll be okay. Dr. Arnold, you definitely sound like you know what you're talking about, bro. I'm gonna go and get my shot as soon as I can. All right. I really do love everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe. I got a goal, 10,000 new subscribers by June and 100,000 new subscribers before the end of 2021. God, man, where the time is going by. Mother, I love you. I know you're watching. And I love each and every one of you all that's watching this show. Thank you for your support. Thanks to all my new subscribers. Keep spreading the word. Keep spreading the news. That the Geno Jones Show is on fire. Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here live on my YouTube channel. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe. Me and you, I'll be back Monday evening, afternoon, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, be blessed.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.